Hi there, I am Esteban Chiagana, and today I will present to you my research project called The Importance of Dynamic Resources in English Learning for Preschool and Nursery Students. Let's start. Why did I choose this topic? Do I know something about preschool? The answer is yes. For about a year, I have been working in an institution teaching little children of 3 and 4 years old English. For me, the idea of children learning another language that is not like Spanish in here, the native language, it was hard to understand because I said, are they going to do? So the purpose of this study was to analyze how the dynamic educational resources influence students' participation, attention, motivation, and engagement during English lessons. But all of that I didn't know at first. I was really a little lost because I didn't have all the material, all the resources to improve my classes. I have my plans, like I have some games, but I didn't have flashcards or books for doing storytelling. I didn't have materials to make them experience the language. So that's why I choose this topic, and I think it's pretty important to understand that the early childhood is the most important stage for language development. And I get it now more for the past of the time and the experience that I had. During this period, children learn more about exploration and playing games and observation and interactions with their environment. Even if you have some researches that they told, like Rousseau believed that education should include games, exploration, and active participation. Likewise, other authors emphasize that play-based learning can improve motivation and learning outcomes in young learners. Despite all the benefits that we have in this, knowledge by learning in plays and have games and stuff like that, some nursery and preschool students have shown low participation. They lose attention pretty quickly or become disengaged when English lessons are repetitive and have lack of interactive resources. For this reason, I decided to investigate how dynamic resources can support English learning in young children and how that can improve your classes. As a teacher of these ages, that is really a little hard. The problem that I saw was the first 3 months that I have was the limited use of dynamic educational resources during some English lessons. At first, I didn't have a lot of flashcards and books, as I said before, but I had to create, I was like, so they say storytelling. So I'm going to create a storytelling with all the vocabulary that we had. We did the story of a triangle, a square, and they need to find one and each other. And you find them in several places of the school because we also were not just seeing shapes, but also the places of the establishment. So because of all the creativity that I had, I was like, okay, I have to do this. But I have limited thing. You have to create a lot of things. And sometimes this is kind of the fault of the school, the planification, or that they didn't have all the points of the planification like seen, So classroom observations that I did show that some students lost attention, participate less frequently, and appeared less motivated during activities that were not sufficient interactive. This was at the first 3 months of the class because you are creating a safe environment so they can feel like they can speak, they can make a mistake, and it's okay. So that's something that you also have to create, not also just material and resources, but that can help to you to create a safe environment so you can have an engaging class. This study was guided for 3 questions. The first was, how does the use of dynamic resources influence the students' attention, participation, and engagement? That it does a lot, right? The second was, what effects do interactive activities have on students' motivation and willingness to participate? And the last one, what teaching strategies of dynamic resources could improve students' participation and engagement? Now, I use for this a qualitative approach, descriptive. This was selected because the focus was not on numerical measurements, but on understanding students' behavior, reactions, the participations, and the experience during the English lessons. The study was conducted at Innova School. That's the place that I work during the 2025 and 2026 school year. The participation include nursery and preschool students between 3 and 4 years old, as well as the English teacher. I have a partner that I did the interview. So we have 2 instruments to collect the data. Was a classroom observation checklist that I did, and the interview for the English teacher. The information collected was analyzed through thematic analysis, identifying common patterns relating to participation, motivation, attention, and engagement. Now, regarding the first research questions, the observation showed that students participate more actively during songs, movements activities, storytelling, games, and flashcards activities than during repetitive activities. Now, educational games shows one of the highest levels of participation, while repetitive activities show the lowest level. These findings suggest that students respond more actively with active activities than repetitive, that you don't have a lot of resources and it's not interactive sometimes. Regarding the second research question, students demonstrate greater motivations during activities that encourage movement and interactions. Many students volunteered answer, even they volunteer as screaming or just saying like teacher, and they say the answer sometimes, and they repeated the vocabulary enthusiastically. They participate actively in games and follow instructions with interest. I have here one example that I did was a mix of repetitive with an interactive activity. It was a game that we have in Spanish also. It is about the police and the robbers. One was the police, one was the robber. The interaction was the movement, right? And saying the word catch. If the police said catch to the robber, like catch this movement, they win. If they didn't do it, the robber can run away again and they need to catch it again. So it was kind of like a mix it up of these 2 things, the repetitive of the word, the verb catch, and the game of the police and the robbers. Well, they have a lot of movement and they want to have an interaction with you. So that's something that make an engaged class to become effective, to them to understand through experience what is a police, what is a robber, what is catch, and why did I do this. Based on all of this research, I have concluded that dynamic educational resources and material affects positively in the English lessons, that interactive activities increases students' attention, motivation, and willingness to participate in the class, that songs, games, stories, visual materials, and moving activities are identified as effective teaching strategies. And the young learners can benefit for play-based and interactive methodologies that provide meaningful opportunities to use English in the classroom. I have a recommendation is that the English teachers needs to incorporate dynamic resources into every lessons. The school if we are dreamers, should provide all the visuals and interactive materials that support English learning. If you don't have the support, as I did before, because they gave me some books, and I have all the materials that this teacher from Spanish they had it, so I can take it. Is to take advantage of all the things that maybe you have at your house. Maybe you cannot take, like for here, the fridge, but you can take a cup. You can take, if you're seeing the fruits, you can see and have like real fruits, so they can understand different flavors and stuff. Also, you can have support from parents. If they are really interested in their children, they should support you. Remember that if you're a teacher, you always learning to become better. And I think that's one of the best things about this job, that you never stop learning, that you could do your lessons more engaging, more entertainment for the students. In a place like Ecuador, we should take advantage of everything that we can take for students to understand and learn correctly. And even if we don't have the support, we need to support our students. Thank you so much for watching my video, and I hope you have entertainment a little bit. If you have some questions, let me know, and bye.